Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewins.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We'll discuss themes from some of our favorite fictional books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's episode, we're talking about our most unpopular book opinions.
But first, if you've been enjoying this podcast, we would like to humbly ask that you support us in a few simple ways. You can just leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know that you're loving the show.
We'd also love for you to follow us on Instagram at Redirect Podcast. And finally, if you really, really like the show, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. When you share the show with a friend, it's absolutely the best way to help us grow our little community of book-loving nerds. So share it.
So welcome.
Well, today we're talking unpopular opinions in books or about books or related to books.
So if you are a sensitive person, just tune out now. We might hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
But we're going to try not to. But I think, I think the thing about reading is that everyone has their own opinions. And even if it's not the majority's opinion, like someone, I love people I'll see make like a TikTok or a reel where they post 1-star reviews of books that they thought were 5 stars or really popular famous books. Mm-hmm. It's like we always say, even the greats, the classics of history have people who hate them. So
yeah, call back to last episode. We're talking about the whole book review.
Yeah, exactly.
Scandal thing. It's like
reading is so subjective, I guess, that, everyone interprets things differently. So I feel like
that being said, there is a difference between unpopular opinions and something that's just subjectively wrong. So let's talk about what is the difference between an unpopular opinion and when something is totally wrong.
Yeah, I think unpopular is just, the majority disagrees with you, but there's, you can see where you're coming from. Wrong opinion is like, okay, well, that just doesn't, that's objectively correct. Like if you read the text, you can tell that you are just wrong about that opinion.
Right. Like I came up with an example. Edward Cullen is the ultimate book boyfriend. That's just incorrect.
That's just wrong. He is
that
scary.
Requires therapy. That requires
that. If you think that, if you genuinely think that, please seek help.
Right.
I've been begging you.
So that is unpopular and incorrect.
Yes. So something can be unpopular and also wrong. It can be unpopular and correct. And actually the popular opinion is wrong. Or it can just be both or neither.
That's what we're doing here today. I'm going to share my unpopulars. You're going to share your unpopulars. And we're going to share some unpopular opinions submitted by listeners and found from Reddit.
Shout out Reddit.
And we're going to discuss whether they're just unpopular or if they're just wrong.
Okay.
So
I can't wait.
Should I kick it off?
Go.
Okay. My first unpopular opinion, trigger warning for anyone who is a snowflake, sensitive. Sometimes the movie is better than the book. The book is not always better than the movie. It often is.
Yes.
But not always. And I came up with a few examples of that. Mm-hmm. First, I think The Notebook is a better movie than the book by Nicholas Sparks.
Controversial, but true.
Controversial, but true. I think when I really think about it, I think here's my problem. When I really think about the fact that Nicholas Sparks is a man,
yeah,
it makes me feel a little cringy inside that he's a straight man writing these romance novels.
Yeah.
And I like them. So maybe that's my sensitivity.
Yes. My mom just read his life story book. Oh, really? And it sounds super interesting. So maybe we need to talk about
maybe we should do an episode. Comment if you want us to do an episode on Nicholas Sparks.
You don't have to persuade us. Even if you don't comment, I think we probably will.
But
anyways, I feel that though. But I think he had a really hard life and, kind of puts his sadness into these books. So that's really interesting. Anyways, I agree with you though. I think the movie is a lot better. I think actually most Nicholas Sparks movies are better than the books. I think A Walk to Remember is better. I can't remember. I think Dear John, actually, I think is probably a better book. But for the most part, I would say
the performers make it pop.
Yes.
Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling have a ton of chemistry.
Yes.
And they ended up actually dating, from being on the cast of that movie together. So it's just the chemistry. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
On the page, on the screen, it beat it. So I would say better movie than book. Also, I think The Devil Wears Prada, much better
Mm.
movie than it is a book.
Never even read that book. I didn't even know it was a book, to be honest.
It is based off a book.
Wow. Well, the more you know.
The more you know, but obviously it's hard to compete when you have Meryl Streep throwing heat
Oh
on the
yeah.
screen.
That
So I think that's part
movie
of it.
is. Yeah, I think sometimes book adaptations they get like cheap adaptations and they have like unknown actors or not very like
Right.
accomplished screenwriters. But when, I think people went all in on Nicholas Sparks, like millions of dollars given to him. So his
Exactly.
books were made into really high quality movies. I think when there's a lot of attention given to it, funding given to it, talent given to it, then it can definitely
It can
surpass
just
the
take
book.
off. Because, like, if you think about Devil Wears Prada, you have Meryl Streep,
Hmm.
Stanley Tucci, my beloved.
Yes.
I love Stanley Tucci so much. And I
Anne
love,
Hathaway.
and another Stanley Tucci, Meryl Streep pairing is Julie and Julia.
Mm.
And I,
Probably better than the book, which I've never read, but I
but
imagine it is.
probably, it's
Yeah.
definitely better because it just is.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
obsessed with their dynamic in that movie.
Hmm.
You have Emily Blunt before
Yes.
she like was famous,
Hmm.
and Anne Hathaway. It's good.
Hmm.
So it's better. And then
Amen.
here's one I couldn't land on, but I wanted to submit to you. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Do you think that Gone Girl is a better movie or book?
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, this is a cop-out answer, but I feel like they're both good. I feel like that's just a great quality. Like to me, that's like the Hunger Games. Like the books are amazing, but the movie
I
is
like something else.
it's good enough to hold its own with the book. Like you feel like if people just watch the movie, yeah, they might miss some things, but they're still getting the full experience. That to me is Gone Girl. Like I think it's such a good adaptation. They didn't really stray from the book, so then it's hard to compare like I think something that can make a movie better than a book is when they make changes that
Mm,
make it better. You know what I mean?
that's
So I
true.
feel like it's such an accurate adaptation, but I mean, it's such a good. That's another well cast movie. I think the cast in that movie really embody the characters.
Yes, Rosamund Pike. I'm just like, you know, she's just so good.
Yeah.
So
So
that one is like, for me, it's like a knife's
50-50.
edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's my first unpopular opinion.
Okay.
You go.
My first unpopular opinion is actually came up a few times also in our Instagram comments. But I do not think enemies to lovers is a good romance trope. And here's why. I think it can be good, but it is so difficult to do it well that most people don't. For example, we struggled with this in our one of our books that we did an episode on, Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. It's an enemies
Hmm.
to lovers plot, and it's like
Hmm.
she spends so much time explaining how much these two people hate each other. By the
Hmm.
time they fall in love, you're like, what? I thought you guys hated each other. And like the hatred is so visceral that it's just too much for me. That's not my life. What I think is an example of it doing well would be like Book Lovers by Emily Henry. They're not exactly
Mm.
enemies. They don't really hate each other, but
Rivals.
like professional rivals, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Rivals is better. Rivals to lovers is better than enemies to lovers. If they have
Yes.
that tension, if they have like, it's kind of comical, they both kind of know, but it also is real, like they really don't get along or whatever. I think that's easier to transition than a true enemies to lovers where they genuinely hate each other or sometimes the man is like being mean to the woman, like not the case in Love on the Brain. He was really in love with her the whole time or whatever, spoiler alert. But like there are some cases where the man will be like a jerk and like be rude and so I just don't like that. I can't get over that because I'm like if that's how you treat someone then
Yeah.
I don't care if you change just because you fall in love. I just don't like it.
Totally. I fully agree with that opinion. I think like I do think it's unpopular
Yeah,
because obviously enemies to lovers is like a huge
very
trope, like
famous,
subgenre.
yes.
But yeah, obviously enemies to lovers is a huge trope and it's very popular. But I agree. I like the sweet spot of rivals to lovers
Yes, I think that's a better way to put it for sure.
because yeah, it's just toxic sometimes if you are
Yes.
just really hating each other. So I think that's a good call.
Yes. One of our commenters said, if a redemption arc isn't done well, enemies to lovers is just toxic. And that's exactly right. Like, you do have to have a good redemption arc, some kind of explanation. I think what saves not to rag on Love on the Brain, but what saves it is that the boy character, I can't remember I think Levi or something, he was in love with her the whole time, and she was just misinterpreting some of his actions, but like he didn't hate her. So I think that can help when like one person, like the hate is one-sided. That can be a good enough redemption arc, but it is just hard when you spend so much of a book. I know some people like it because it's like the tension, the passion, the heat, but for me, I'm like, it doesn't have to be, if it's not mean, then I think I can get over it, but it's being
Right.
mean that I don't like. Okay, what's your next unpopular opinion?
Okay, my next unpopular opinion is that Ruby Kaur of Milk and Honey and the Sun and Her Flowers isn't actually a good poet. It's just sentences broken up into multiple lines with illustrations.
Yeah.
And this came to me. I know. I'm calling my own like 22-year-old self
Oh,
out on
yeah.
the floor.
Me in high school on Tumblr,
Totally.
loved her.
Totally. And I think this opens up a bigger debate about like what is poetry? What isn't poetry? Like it's so subjective. Anything could be poetry, whatever. However, I don't think that means it's good. And this unpopular opinion came to me because this week I was up in Sacramento for work, and I went into this independent bookstore, and I ended up looking through some poetry books, and it was like flipping through her books of poetry next to like Langston Hughes and others. I'm like, this isn't actually good. These are just sentences. I don't know. What do you think?
You're not wrong. Have you seen there's been a video making the rounds of her on TikTok reading her poems. I think I'll put a link in the show notes. Let me see if I can find. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to find the video. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to find it.
There's a chat function on this thing.
Yes. I will chat it to you and I will put it in the show notes. But it is her reading one of her poems. I guess this happened like over a year ago, but I've just been seeing it lately on like Twitter. And I think it's becoming a more popular opinion because it does kind of show like it's kind of cringe.
I think it can be cringe.
Yeah.
And serve a purpose. I think the purpose that it served for a lot of young women is self-expression.
Absolutely.
Artistic expression. Opening them up, like, she was like my first dip into poetry, and then I really started like enjoying poetry and just reading more poetry like on its own.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it's like there's no this isn't hatred. If you like Rupi Kaur and like you really enjoy her poems, that's like there's nothing wrong with you. I think it's a good introduction to poetry, like for people who may have otherwise not enjoyed reading poems, or the only poetry you're exposed to is like what you read in your English classes in high school and you didn't really connect with it. I think she writes about topics that do connect with younger women. And so I think it's a great intro point, but I don't actually think she is a good poet. Objectively, I would agree with you. But it's a great, there's nothing wrong. And like we always say, there's nothing wrong with liking something that's bad.
Right, exactly. But it's still bad.
Yeah, but it's still bad.
I think that's like
yeah, that's the conclusion.
Okay, wait, I'm going to go look at I see now that you sent the thing.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
But good for her. She is bringing in cash, I'm sure. I'm sure she has made a lot of money off of her poems. Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Oh. Can I also say one bad thing?
Yeah.
So for all of the good seeds that her bad work planted.
Yeah.
She also planted some bad seeds. She sowed some bad seeds, which is that making people that went to the place that we went to college think that they could be spoken word poets.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think you know who I am talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And you're right. Because
you can speak and read in a rhythm like this doesn't mean
you're not a spoken word poet. Anyways.
Okay.
Just went through war flashbacks.
Oh God, I know. Okay, let's just shake it out.
Let's shake it off. Shake it off.
All right.
Anyways.
Your next opinion.
So apparently I have discovered this through this podcast, and talking more about books with you, and I embrace it. But I guess I like books with, well, let me caveat, romance books. I like romance books with no plot that other people hated. And the one we just recently talked about was One Last Stop. But also something that I see gets so much hate on Book Talk is Funny You Should Ask.
Okay.
And it's because nothing happens, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I liked it. Like, they just fall in love. That's literally it. And so, yeah, that's my unpopular opinion, is that a romance book with no plot, that's fine by me. If it's just about two people like slowly falling for each other and there's nothing else going on, I don't actually care. So, and that's how I like my romance movies too. I'm like, one of my favorite rom-coms is Leap Year, but I'll just watch it up until the point where like the conflict happens and then I'll fast forward to the end.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know
You
why.
get me out a little bit.
There's probably something wrong with me. It's probably something that I should work on, but I don't know why it's just romance. Like, I love like thrillers, a murder, mysteries, sci-fi, anything else I don't mind, but romance books, I'm fine if they don't have a plot and it's just like slow and chill and happy and
I kind of relate to this a little bit because I recently, to fulfill one of my reading goals for this year, I read my fantasy book that I was supposed to
hmm
read, A Court of Thorns and Roses.
nice.
And I picked it because it's extremely popular and I knew there's a romance element.
Yeah,
And the first half of the book is basically setting the romance up
sure.
and like bringing the two people together. And that was my favorite part of the book. And then the
Yeah.
second half is where all the plot happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, skip, skip, skip,
Yeah.
skip, skip. Like, and I think that's just maybe also partly to do with that I don't like fantasy that much.
Yeah.
But and so it's like, a lot of the long names and the world building and all that kind of stuff, it just didn't appeal to me that much. But
I get that.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. At the same time, I disagree about romance books. I like there to be a little bit of a plot.
No, I get that.
Um,
And I
that's why
like,
it's
it doesn't mean
unpopular,
I
but I don't think it's
don't
wrong.
like, yeah, it's not that I don't like romance books with no plot. It's just that I've noticed, with those two, I guess a lot of people didn't like, a lot of people don't like Funny You Should Ask. And their criticism is that, like, it's kind of boring. And I'm like, that is what I liked about it. But yeah, so if I
I liked I
recommend a
felt safe
romance
the whole
book,
time.
just, yes, that's, I think, what it is.
I liked that I felt safe and I didn't feel like there was, you
Yeah.
know,
And you know what? Also, I grew up reading a lot of my mom's books, which are like, were like Christian romance,
mhm.
or Amish
Karen Kingsbury.
romance. Yes, Karen Kingsbury. And those books kind of low key slap, but not a lot of plot. Like, not that much happens. Like, it's pretty simple and straightforward. So maybe that's why I was impressed upon at an early age. Okay, back to you. Last unpopular opinion.
Okay, wait. First of all, though, but like side plot or sidebar here, that you can cut this out. I think if when we do the books that built this episode, we should absolutely talk about Redeeming Love
Okay,
and Karen Kingsbury.
absolutely. Because I have a vendetta with Karen Kingsbury for a series of probably minimum 12 books that I read that ended so bad that it has scarred me for life. And I would love to air it out on here. Karen, she, you did me wrong with who you made the girl end up with, and I'm going to talk about it. So I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Okay, cool. We should do that. We should do
Yeah.
that episode soon.
Okay. Let me keep that in mind.
Okay. So my next unpopular opinion among the reading community is that liking reading is not a moral imperative. Being a fast reader or reading dozens of books every year, it doesn't make you a better type of person because you did that. And I'm saying that as someone who's read 40 books this year. I
Flex.
I don't think that that makes me a better person or a more deep reader or anything like that. I think I'll project the same onto people who are like, oh, hardcover over paperback, or reading a tactile book over Kindle, or audiobooks don't
Mm,
count,
amen.
or people who are like, I just read like nonfiction about like how
God.
to be a better person
Yes.
and grow. That's great.
Good for
but
you.
you're not better than other readers.
Exactly.
You're not
Exactly.
better than me because I have read like 5 of the Ice Planet Barbarian series, you know?
Just because I
So
read 3 fanfics this year doesn't make you better than me.
it's just words. Like you're
Yeah.
on a floating rock, please. So that's
Nothing
that's my
matters. Yeah.
unpopular opinion. I think there are a lot of like readers, especially online, who think that they're better than other people because they
Mm,
read. Reading is not better than watching TV.
mm,
Reading, like I love reading, obviously. We have a whole podcast about it, but
yeah.
it doesn't make you better than other people. It's just a
Amen.
hobby.
It
Okay?
is. It's just a fun hobby.
Just
And
chill.
yes. And it's also annoying. I think it pushes people away from reading because, like, I went through a phase definitely where I felt like I had to read all these nonfiction books to like be smart or like I was so old now, whatever. Like especially post
Yeah.
college, especially in college, you're reading a lot anyway, so you don't have that much time. And then I was like reading this nonfiction stuff, and then finally, like a few years ago, I feel like I'm like, yeah, I can just read whatever I want, and it doesn't matter,
It
and
doesn't matter.
it's so freeing. And that's when I got more into reading again. So I think, yeah, it pushes people away because they're like, well, I could never read 100 books a year or whatever. I can't, buy. Don't even get me started on how like you have to buy all these books. I feel
What a
like so
waste.
many people are buying books and like, no, just get them on from the library, get them on your Kindle, listen to an audiobook. It's all the same. Who cares? And if it's one, if it's 100, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
I agree.
It doesn't make you a better person. Like
Yes.
it just doesn't. So
So true.
take that.
Yeah.
All right, what's your last unpopular opinion?
Okay, I was gonna say, I feel like I've made it clear I don't like Colleen Hoover books, but I think so that's not interesting. I think the real unpopular opinion is that most majority of super popular like TikTok books probably aren't good. Like they're just probably not good. Um, Not that to say that none of them are, but I think for a book to become that famous, it kind of has to like I think there's two groups that can carry a book to that level of fame. There's the people who read all the time. That's like one small wave. But the real success of a book comes when people who never read a book. And in order for those people to read a book, it probably isn't like the best book you've ever read. It's probably more simple or, like the plot's more simple or the writing's more simple or it kind of has some weird twist or something. And so I don't think there's anything wrong. Again, there's nothing wrong with liking bad things or things that are objectively not as good as other things, but like I'm sure The Hunger Games, for example, I'm sure there's other probably lesser known dystopian books out there. Don't get me wrong, The Hunger Games are incredible, but there's probably others out there that are better. But in order for things to reach that level of fame, I feel like it does have to be on a certain level that's accessible for people who never read. And so that is my unpopular opinion that if you see a book super hyped on TikTok, just be prepared. It might not be the best you've ever read in your life.
Yeah, I wonder what that's about. Like maybe it's that maybe it's also like books that are really popular on TikTok like have a pretty big like PR
That's
machine
probably true
behind
too.
them.
Yes, for
You know,
sure.
a lot of money around getting them out there like that and being promoted like that. But I don't know. I agree. I've heard a
Yeah,
lot of TikTok duds.
me too. But then there are definitely good ones out there that, prove the rule. And again, like I just saw the thing that made me kind of think about this more. I just saw a TikTok that was like how much they hated Daisy Jones and the Six. Obviously, we love that book and I really like Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I'm sure, again, that there are probably books out there doing similar things better. But I just think that, yeah, a lot of things come together, whether it's, I think, probably funding for sure, the marketing of a book, and then the accessibility of it. And yeah, I think, and just, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm sure marketing dollars have a lot to do with it as well.
So
It's so
maybe
hard
like
to know.
maybe we should then go to like, all right, so you see a book on TikTok that has a lot of hype.
Mm,
What's a backup way to like test to see if it might be
yeah.
actually good?
I always like to go read the reviews.
Hmm.
Not because, like, I don't think you shouldn't read a book if it's badly reviewed, but I think it can tell you, like, find some reviews that either find, like, creators that you really trust and feel like, okay, we have similar opinions on books, or just go read them and see, like, what people didn't like about them. Because, like I said, I like boring books. So if people are like, this was kind of boring, I'm probably going to be like, oh, that's fine. I can live with that.
Hmm.
Or, if it's just minor things that they didn't like, but if there's something that you don't like, they say, something I hate in a book is when there's a big twist, but it doesn't feel like it made any sense. Like it doesn't feel earned.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone said that in a review, I'd probably be like, okay, that's not for me. So I think you don't have to, it doesn't have to be rated 5 stars, but what did people like about it? What did they not like about it? And does that kind of align with how you feel or not?
Right. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good advice.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I also think, I think a tried and true method is the page 99 test,
Mm.
which the theory kind of goes like you open a book to page 99 and read
Mm-hmm.
it. And if that page grabs you and you want to keep reading, like you need to know more, then you might like the book.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is usually the first 100 pages of the book are kind of like setting out the exposition, building the world, setting all the background info. But by the time you get to page 99, some of like the first actions should be taking place. So if you get to that point and you really want to know, like if you read just that page and you want to know more, then you probably like the book. And
Yeah, I think
I
that's a
started,
good test.
I mean, this works better obviously if it's like a physical book
Sure.
that you're like at the bookstore or the library and you have the option to put it back. But I find that to be a pretty reliable
Yeah.
indicator for me.
And I think, as we always say, it's okay to DNF. So don't feel bad if you get started on a book and you don't want to finish it. That's okay too. So, yeah, if you get through it and you're like, man, TikTok overhyped this, just put it down and try something else. So who cares?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
Those are our unpopular opinions. Now we're going to discuss some that we got from you guys and also from Reddit, as Abigail said. So do you want to pick the first one we read?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, this one was just really funny to
Yeah.
me. And it is, I sort of like the 230,830,972 unnecessary chapters about whaling and Moby Dick.
I love that.
That got me to laugh out loud. That was from Reddit. It was really funny. And it
Respect
also,
to them.
did you watch The Whale with Brendan
No.
Fraser? Okay.
I did not.
There's like in that movie, there is like an essay that always comes up, and one of the lines of the essay is it's about Moby Dick, and
Yeah.
it's like all of the thing that made me saddest of all was like all of the chapters that are descriptions of whales, because it made me know that like the author was just trying to distract us from his like sad, miserable life.
Oh gosh.
And so
You're probably like, yeah.
that compared to, I actually loved the 230 million unnecessary chapters of
Like,
whaling and Moby Dick made me laugh.
Maybe you need to do some self-work as well.
All
I
right.
don't know if I've ever said this on here, but I did try to read Moby Dick in the 5th grade because I have a superiority complex. And let me tell you, it was not enjoyable, but I was 10. So
okay, so this is an unpopular opinion that like didn't make my actual list.
yeah.
But just briefly, I'll say, I think sometimes like just because something's a classic doesn't mean it's good.
Retweet. That is so true.
Like, I'm sorry, but I just
And
just
it's
because
like,
something's a classic doesn't
look,
make it good.
low key, sometimes reading old books is like reading a foreign language. And it's hard. And so sorry if I don't want to do it. Like
Right.
it's written so differently than how we talk and write now sometimes that you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
anyways, I agree.
All right, you gonna pick the next one?
Yeah, I will pick the next one. I will say, oh man, now I'm getting decision paralysis, but I'll say this one came from Instagram. I think Twilight should not have been a phenomenon. Granted, I only read the first book, but I thought it was poorly written. I think this goes back to what we were saying. Like, probably you could say the exact same thing, just put Colleen Hoover. But that doesn't, and I obviously love Twilight, but yeah, they're poorly written. Like, duh.
Yeah, I agree.
That's that's part of it. But I
But
think
I don't
there's
think
something.
that's what it is. I don't think that's the unpopular part of the opinion. I think the unpopular part is
Yes.
that it should not have been a phenomenon.
Yes. Yes.
Do you
Exactly.
agree? Do you think that it deserves phenom status?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I disagree with that. It's a pile of rubbish. It sucks,
Yes.
but it is deserving of a phenomenon.
Yes. And I think it hit at just the right time. Like, I think now, I don't think it could be as successful as it was then. I just, or even like in the past, I think it just hit at a time where it was definitely probably the dying height of like purity culture,
Mm.
which I think is hopefully being critiqued a little now. I know it still exists, but obviously that's a big part of it. Like this ideal guy who's like, from a different time. But also, like okay, look, we don't need to go all into this because we talked for an hour about Twilight in one of our first episodes, so you can go listen to that. But I think it just the timing, and I don't know. It's so interesting, like what makes a book what makes Harry Potter or Twilight or the Hunger Games like what forces aligned, and I think there's probably many to make those books reach heights that most books never will even begin to
It's a cultural
eclipse.
moment.
Yeah, it just hits at the right wave of culture, I think sometimes.
One day, someday, we're gonna make merch, and on one of the merches, like on a mug or something, we're gonna have something about mentioning Twilight in every episode.
Oh yeah,
Because
because it's,
welcome to the Redirect podcast, where we mention Twilight in every episode.
exactly. And
We're
where would I
taking the
be?
conversation back to Twilight.
Where would I be without Twilight? Would we even be here? Probably not. Okay,
No, not at all.
you go ahead, pick one.
Okay. All right. Unpopular opinion that Shel Silverstein's The Giving Tree is an awful story about the world's biggest selfish prick and the doormat of a tree he takes advantage of.
Like, is this wrong?
This is completely factual,
Yes.
and thank you for saying it.
Yes, someone needed to.
It is ban this book, Ron
Yes.
DeSantis.
Yeah.
Well, we're banning
Yeah,
books.
Ron.
Let's put this one on the list.
It probably
Sure.
is, to be honest. They're like, communism. I don't know.
It's just like, yo.
Yeah, like you just keep taking from a tree until it's a stump.
And he's just like, I love you no matter how much.
And then he's
you
like,
give
oh
me."
man, I guess I was like stupid. Yeah, you didn't
And you
notice
don't
that
even-
when it was becoming a stump?
And you didn't even like it's not just like, okay, I give to you and you get, it's like, I always give to you and you never give any, you don't even like me. You
Yeah.
just use me.
Yeah, like, is this the message we want to be teaching the youth? No.
Ban that book.
Ban the Giving Tree. Let's start a
Hashtag
petition.
ban the Giving Tree.
Okay, look, I'll take one. Trigger warning for Emily, you wrote. The Count of Monte Cristo is a boring slog. I gave up halfway through. I really wanted to like it, too. Yeah, I think this isn't wrong either. Here's the thing about the Count of Monte Cristo, and I'll say this: if you've been convinced by me as I have tried to evangelize this book, you have to make it to the end because the middle is boring. I have been on record saying that. The middle parts are boring because it kind of goes on all these side tangents. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything? But the thing that makes them interesting is getting to the end and seeing how it all comes together. So I will not disagree with this. I think it is boring. And like I said in whatever episode I talked about this, it was written as like a series in a magazine. So I think if you take it that way, like just read one little chapter at a time, maybe that helps. I don't know. But yeah, I don't disagree with this. I stopped reading the Count of Monte Cristo halfway through like 12 times. So, it is what it is. But, fair enough. It's just one of the greatest pieces of literature of all time. Also, I pray for the day that they redo a really high quality. I'm still praying for a high quality.
Who would you cast as the Count?
I don't know. There was like a fan casting sometime that I saw that I was like, yeah, I agree with that. But, I don't know. I feel like he has to be. It's hard because you have to have someone who can play like a 19-year-old and then like 40, 50-year-old. I don't know. It spans such a long time. Obviously, special effects can do that nowadays.
Yeah.
But
or a father-son duo.
That's true.
Interesting.
Maybe Jeremy Strong. I'm on my Succession era. I feel like he would do really good as the Count.
Oh my God. Did you see? So after the last episode, like me and Zach obviously were so shooketh
Yes.
that we kept watching. And if you guys know, you know.
Yes.
But after after the episodes, they have these like
Yes.
interviews, and
I
he
did
goes,
also.
"I thought it was a dermatolog. What is it?
Dramaturgically.
Drama, dramaturgically interesting." I was like, "Shut the up."
I think now that I've said it, I want Jeremy Strong to play the Count of Monte Cristo more than I want anything else with this world. I think he would do so good.
Dramaturgically interesting. Oh
Yeah. I
God.
love it. He would be living on a deserted island just to really
Well, now
embrace.
that Succession's in this last season, I really am gonna need like another venue to
Yes.
enjoy Jeremy Strong.
So, put him in this. But anyways, I was going to say I want them to make an adaptation because also if you like, I just want Reputation by Taylor Swift edits on footage of the Count of Monte Cristo. I
Ooh.
want that, because that is the vibe. So, anyways, if you thought it was boring, when they make this remake with Jeremy Strong playing the Count in a TV series on HBO, I'll take it. Go for it. Then you will probably enjoy it more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Also on our merch.
Yes.
Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. We're shifting the conversation back to the Count of Monte Cristo. Okay. Here's an interesting one. 95% of big books, parentheses, 500 pages or more, do not need to be as long as they are. The same story that is told in 700 pages could have easily been told in 400 pages. Most of the time, authors are overriding and not being concise.
I would agree. 95%, that sounds like a solid statistic.
What makes up the 5%? The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me think
I
of
think
another
Harry
long book.
Potter,
I was gonna say maybe, but don't endorse her,
yeah, don't endorse her,
We don't
but
endorse J.K. Rowling on this pod. But I think Harry Potter, yeah. I think they're pretty, like the later ones are long, but I think they are necessarily long.
okay, here's one that is not necessarily long.
Yeah.
Breaking Dawn.
Yes, correct.
None. Oh, The Every by Dave Eggers.
I was gonna say Midnight Sun.
Oh,
Also, I
God.
I have read portions of J.K. Rowling's mystery books by her pseudonym Robert Galbraith, and they are all long. And that is the curse of being. I think it's the curse that happened in Midnight Sun, and it's the curse that is happening to her right now, J.K. Rowling. You are no longer being told no, and you don't have editors cutting you down. And you write books that are
Power of
1,000
No.
pages long for no reason. And so I think, yes, unfortunately, sometimes or the host, I just, I'm looking at this, the host by Stephanie Meyer is 1,152 pages.
No.
That's
No.
almost as long as the Count of Monte Cristo.
No.
So I would agree. 90, I'm looking at all the books I've read that are over 500 pages. Okay, Gone Girl is over 500 pages. I think that's worth it. That's the 5%.
Yeah. I'm also thinking, okay, I had to talk quietly so that Zach doesn't hear me say this. But
So,
like with like the Lord of the Rings,
yes. Which I've never
obviously
read, to be honest
really
with
long.
you. Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is world building, right?
Yes.
And so if world building means a lot to you, then okay, maybe it's worth it. But in 2023, how much world building do we need? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
do I need to know the color cerulean that the creek
Yes.
is? Do you know what I'm saying? And
That
I
is
think that's part of the reason I don't really like fantasy.
yeah.
Is because fantasy, obviously, because it's in a world that's totally unknown to us, does require a lot of world building.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And I think the thing is, speaking of Succession, something a lot of people have said that Succession does so well is like they don't treat the audience like they're dumb. They just throw like information comes to you over time,
Mm-hmm.
It's like the whole thing with Connor's mom. Like they didn't just have someone say, "Oh yeah, at the episode 1, Connor's messed up because his mom was," but like now season 4, you're starting to get the full story or like all the business stuff. They don't explain it; they just let you experience it. I think
Mm-hmm.
a
Show don't tell.
truly good fantasy book. I'm sure there's some world building that you have to do, but some of it they can just throw you in there and let you kind of get it as the plot unfolds. And so I hate that when you're just reading like pages and pages and pages about the world
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know what I think does it, a book that does it really well that's fantasy is the Chronicles of Narnia. I feel like
Hmm.
over the Chronicles, you get more of the world, but there's very little just like explanation of the world.
Is that
You
just
know,
like, okay, at the outset?
it's people experiencing it
Mhm.
and you get it slowly over time. So I think it can be done well, but when it's just explanations, I agree with you. I can't. Or too many proper nouns that like you never heard, like made up words, and you're like, okay, I don't know what this
I don't
means.
need to like, yeah, it's my brain hurts.
Yes. I can
Um,
barely remember the main characters' names in an Allie Hazelwood book. I cannot remember the 50 words you've made up for characters and things in this world.
I think that's part of like why I didn't like A Court of Thorns and Roses that
Mm,
much outside of the like romance part, which, oh my God. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna pause. I'm gonna talk about that at the end.
okay. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
My turn.
most of the time keep things under 500 pages. All right, your
Okay.
turn.
Um, I will say this one. Snape is not a good guy. Was not a good guy. I think this is a good, true, unpopular opinion. Obviously, I did write a Snape and Lily fanfic, which you can hear on our fanfiction episode. But I think the thing about Snape is if you read the book through one time, you're left with the final impression of Snape that is like, oh my gosh, he wasn't what I thought he was. He was good the whole time. Spoiler alert, whatever. But then if you go back, you're like, okay, no, he
Was
wasn't a
he?
good guy. Like maybe, yeah, he was like kind of on the right side, but like he was still a jerk to like an 8-year-old, you know?
The thing is, his motivation was not, I want the world to be free of like
Yes.
anti-Semitic, basically, like overlord.
Yes.
The thing is, he was just trying to like at the end of his life prove his love to
Exactly.
his one true love.
Yeah.
That sure that conveniently aligned him with the good guys,
Yes.
but what if that need to like prove his love to Lily had aligned him with the bad guys? He still would have
Yeah.
done
He
it.
still would have done it. He had no
So
moral like compass. It was just about that one obsession. So yeah, he's not a good guy. But I just think it is so shocking that if you don't really critically think about it, like the shock, and you're like, oh my
mhm.
gosh, he was good. But then you're like, "Ah, okay, no, on second thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, so agree. Why do we agree with so many of these unpopular opinions? Are we the problem?
I know. Well, I just think that we're mavericks.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We tell it like it is.
All right, my turn. Childhood friends to lovers is better than enemies to lovers. Agree.
Agree. Childhood friends to lovers is actually probably my favorite trope, and enemies to lovers is probably my least favorite trope. So go listen to our episode on tropes if you want more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, our last one from the Gram. A series of unfortunate events is better than Harry Potter.
Who did that come from? Emma?
That came from our friend Emma, but it came from her boyfriend Ismael. So shout out to him for providing this. Is it wrong though?
I never read the series of unfortunate events
Hmm,
because I didn't want to be involved in your group of people who were into that. But
fair enough.
I thought it was weird.
Definitely
But
is weird.
hey, maybe. What do you think?
Here's the problem. J.K. Rowling has become such a problem that it's so hard to objectively
It's
think
so hard to
back.
separate the art from the
It
artist.
is very hard in this case because also I feel like she's like revisionist historying Harry Potter a lot, and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
just leave it alone. So I think Harry Potter, I don't know. I feel like they serve such different purposes. I feel like Harry Potter has more of like a little more depth. But a series of unfortunate events is like a little less problematic on the rewind. So,
Mhm.
you know, who can say?
Who can say?
Who can
I
say?
mean, look, they both served a purpose in your life.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
who can say?
And a series of unfortunate events just teaches you that, like no matter what you do, bad things happen.
Wow, that's right up your alley.
So that's a good thing to learn as a child. Okay. So that's all of our unpopular opinions, and we'd still love to hear if you disagree with us or if you have even more unpopular opinions. You can just go comment them on our Instagram and we will either agree with you or berate you. So just choose one.
Probably Braid.
Okay, so do you want to share a book that you've read recently
Yeah.
with the group?
Okay. So I wouldn't say that this is a recommendation, but okay. I want to talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses. The first in the series by Sarah Moss. That's her name, right? So Sarah J. Moss. Okay. Here's the thing. Nobody told me that this was basically 2023 Twilight.
Mm,
Um,
that tracks.
the main, like the love story
Uh-huh.
is between a magical guy who's like a fairy, Faerie,
Sure.
fairy, whatever, I don't know. And he is several hundred years old.
Oh.
And the female love interest is like 19 years old.
Mm.
So here we are again with.
So maybe I was wrong when I said Twilight would not be as popular today.
It's extremely popular. I had no idea that it had that whole element that
Yeah,
like
me
we
neither.
criticize about Twilight.
Yeah.
And so many people like our age are
Yeah.
into this book. Anyways, if you can kind of look past that, for me, the fantasy part just isn't for me. But if
Yeah.
you like fantasy, that's great. I probably won't continue reading them. But I will say, okay, so if I'm comparing it to something that's kind of like pedophilic,
Cool.
like Twilight, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Then I would say it's a little bit better because the main character has more compelling attributes.
Well, that's
She has
good.
more independence. She has more she has more will, like she doesn't have like the love interest isn't like smothering her
Sure.
or whatever. But it is a little weird that there's a huge age gap and then there's like the whole supernatural, not supernatural thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have questions, and if you really like this book, I would love to know what you really love about it.
Yeah.
Because I think I could have a good conversation about it. But yeah, it just wasn't for me.
That's okay. Close it and move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I recently, at your recommendation, per our discussion in our last episode, read The Circle by David Eggers, which I will start there because I do really recommend this book. It's a fun, creepy, dystopian, near future, social media is taking over our lives. Very compelling book, in my opinion. Now, the sequel, we talked a little bit more. You shared a lot about it last episode, so I won't get too into that. But the sequel, The Every, we both read kind of I think you were a little ahead of me, but we read it about the same time. It's a book that is so useless.
It sucks, and it's such a disappointment.
And it was written, this is always a red flag in my opinion. It's a sequel that was written over a decade after maybe not over a decade, but it was written significantly many years later. So I always feel like that's a red flag in a book because it's like maybe the author didn't ever intend on writing a sequel, and sometimes that can be really good, but sometimes it's like they've lost touch with the original book.
That shows.
Gap.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt a lot like the author was like, I'm so smart and I'm critiquing cancel culture in a way that makes you really think about it. Mm-hmm. But it's like very overt, there's weird descriptions of men wearing spandex, like way too many. Like that's what he chooses to obsess, like in the future, men will wear spandex. And it's like, huh? And anyways, it's like it's not interesting anymore to me. In 2021, when the book was released, like to me, critiquing cancel culture is not interesting. And I felt like that's what he was trying to do, but in like a way where he's like, you can tell he thinks he's really smart for it. And it is a very long book. I think it's over 600 pages, and not much happens until probably the last 50 pages, I would say.
25 maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, so it's very world buildy, definitely. So if you loved the world of The Circle and you just want to read a lot more about the stuff they're doing, that's essentially this entire book. Um, but with some weird, and something I didn't like about The Circle, I think, and carries over into this book, is I think probably bad editing, because I think he tends to kind of start some little subplots and then never really come back to them, or just kind of somewhat resolve them. And it's like, those weren't all needed. If you had just been a little more concise, cut down some of these extra random things, I think it didn't have to be 600 pages. So
Here's the annoying thing.
Mhm.
He's like, it's what you're saying. I'm critiquing cancel culture, but I'm also critiquing Amazon.
Yes.
Like, I'm doing both. And it's just like, ugh, shut up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so annoying, but it is.
It's very annoying to me. And again, in this day and age, I think that's not an interesting take anymore. Like, it's so overdone. It's so played out. We know Amazon is bad. Everyone knows that. And cancel culture isn't really real. So, like, just stop.
I know. And, I thought it was interesting, like, so one thing that's, really different in the Every versus the Circle is like, because, time has passed, maybe like, probably like 10-ish years or 15 years between the books. Not like publishing, but like in the world.
Yes.
There's like the main company has like come to more prominence, and like now there's these trog towns where like there's resistors who live. It's really interesting to see how he like describes and paints those people.
Yeah.
And
it's weird too.
Kind of weird.
Because something I cannot suspend my disbelief on, because something about The Circle, I'll say, it felt like it could really be real. This did not, because guess what? People in America would not even get a life-saving vaccine. They are not going to implant chips into their children's bones, which is something he wants you to believe happens without any resistance.
Oh,
he wants you to believe there is full acceptance, when I just don't think in this world that he wrote this in 2021 again. So he had lived through the pandemic. I just want you to recall that. He references the pandemic
in his book.
Or a pandemic. So I just, like, you want me to believe that like half of America would not, I don't know, what's the percentage of vaccinated people? There's a significant portion who would not get the vaccine because they thought you were chipping them or it was going to kill you in 2 years. We're all still alive, just to be clear. But you want me to believe in this book that they are literally implanting microchips into the bones of their children and letting people put speakers in their houses, all this crazy stuff. Like, you want me to think that happens? I agree that some people would do it, but with no resistance, none. I just don't buy that.
Yeah. I mean, so he starts in The Circle talking about like people just freely share personal information on the internet, or like they'll sell their information to The Circle because they want like better services, or like they want them to intuit like their needs or whatever. That makes
like that sense. Is real. That is happening right now.
But he paints like the resistance to all of this stuff as like so minor that it's just like written off.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. So here's my recommendation, and I think you might agree. Read The Circle.
Yes.
And then just watch like a YouTube video that recaps the events of the Every.
Agree. Yeah, read The Circle, forget about the Every.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I really liked The Circle. And it was definitely, a really quick, not fun. It was kind of creepy, but it was a book you didn't want to put down for sure.
There's a sense of building dread.
Yes, dread.
Yeah. One more quick thing before we go. Our next episode, coming out on May 2nd, will be a book club episode about Happy Place by Emily Henry, her upcoming release.
It comes out, yes, on April 25th, so you'll have 1 week to get through it, or just listen to our episode.
Yeah, or just listen to our episode. So,
yes.
If you wanna be prepped before the episode releases, ridiculously.
Okay, bye. Bye.